Okay, so this is only the third time ever I've been to the States, so I'm trying to pick up the differences between your education system and ours so that I can say the right thing. So if you have questions, you know, how this relates to what you do, then do ask me, because I'm fairly ignorant, really. So, but I'm going to talk about what we do, what we're happening in the UK, primarily what's happening in England, because we've got big curriculum changes coming up, and this is having is a really big change for our teachers, and so we really need to work with teachers to help them feel supported, to give them confidence. And we have a program called the Network of Excellence that I'm talking about today, that I work for full time. So I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to talk about the concept of the master teachers. And what I was trying to show on the video, unsuccessfully, was a YouTube video that one of our master's teachers done, where he pretends to be a robot in front of his children. But I shall show you that. That's your homework. You can go home and look at that online. Just to illustrate the sort of things that master teachers are doing, talk about how we train them, and then we've also recently done some evaluation of our programme. We're obviously still in the middle of it, so you know the evaluation will get more rich results later. So that's basically what I plan to do. Plan to finish 10-15 minutes before the end, so that we can have time for questions. That's probably the most useful part. So we have had a lot of change, very fast change, and it's been really exciting to be in the middle of it. And in my personal role, I have to go to lots of different countries and talk about what we're doing in England, because it seems to be very interesting to everybody what's happening. Some people because they think it's never going to work. You know, they think we're just being far too ambitious. But a lot of what's happened has been to do with the organisation I work for, which is called Computing at School, which is a grassroots, bottom-up organisation that has lots of people who belong to it as sort of voluntary members. There are 4 staff now. There was originally only half a staff in Computing at School. So it is all about the people that do stuff. Don't work for CAS, they just have enthusiasm for computing at school. And so through this enthusiasm and interest in getting computer science into school, computer at school went from sort of 5 people in 2008 to it's just 13,500 members now. So in this sort of period of time on this timeline here, we were a small group and having meetings about how could we get computer science into school, and what could we do, and writing a curriculum that would be useful if we ever did get computer science into school. And then suddenly it all sort of happened. Eric Schmidt came and told us that we really should be doing it. That was quite an important point for us. And then we had this report published by the Royal Society, which took a lot of input from the work that had been done from Computing at School, which was called the Shutdown and Restart Report, which I'd recommend that you read if you're interested in this area, which laid down recommendations for us in how we should be getting more computer science into school. And there were 11 recommendations in this report, and we are gradually now working our way through these recommendations. They say things like, don't call it ICT, call it computing. Change your teacher training so that you train teachers in computer science. Have a UK-wide forum for computing education that does this. Talk to your examination boards. And gradually working our way through these recommendations. So that was a really important part. And Mr. Gove there, our Secretary of State of Education, managed to stand up 2 days before it was published, because it's in it already, and say that he thought that was a really good idea, and then disapplied ICT from the curriculum. So we were in a sort of a vacuum for a couple of years since January 2012. We could teach basically what we liked, and then in September 24, this September, we come in with computing as a new subject, which will combine digital literacy, computer science, and some IT. So we now have, and various other changes which I'll refer to later. So we have this new curriculum, so lots of rapid change. And Computing at School has this kind of strap line here. There is no them, only us. And that's exactly what it's all about. It is an organisation where historically anyway, harder with 13,500 members. People do stuff. They give of their time and they get back richly. So, and it's largely teachers, but also people from universities, from awarding bodies, from local government, and a lot of industry partners. And we have had a lot of support from different companies. I actually work for the British Computer Society, which is a society of IT professionals who are sort of an umbrella organisation for Computing at School, because Computing at School is just people, really. It isn't really an organisation in its own right. So, when I talk about what's going on, everybody says it's all happening in the UK. Other bits of the UK are a bit annoyed when we say that, because poor old Wales hasn't got a new curriculum, and Northern Ireland doesn't have the new curriculum. Scotland had it all, was sitting there going, well, we've been doing this for ages, because they were ready to teach in computer studies for a long time. So they've got a new curriculum, but it's just an extension of it's a better version of what they had before. So mainly what we're talking about today is England. And our main premise is about bringing computer science into the classroom, but not as an elective subject later on. We always had it at 16 years old, but for every single child to learn some computer science from when they start school, from age 5 all the way through. And that it's not about programming, it's not just coding, which is a lot of what's in the press, and learning to code. It's not just about that. It's not just about feeding. It's partly, obviously, to fill the vacancies that there are in the technical industries, but it's about computational thinking skills for every child from an early age that support children in their other subjects that they do. So that's our basic premise. And this is where we started. So when we started Computing at School 2008, these were our kind of frame that we were working in. So we were looking at developing a curriculum, implementing national policy, and directing and supporting teachers. Those are our 3 things we talked about for the first 4 years. And now we've done that because we have a new curriculum. It's kind of mission accomplished. We wrote this massive body of knowledge, what would be in what you would teach if you could get computer science into the curriculum, and then it got down to a smaller document, and the government asked for some support in writing the curriculum, and we inputted into that. That's all done, and this is our focus now, it's directly supporting teachers. And we have this phrase in CAS about the early adopters, the people who were so thrilled that computing science was around, and that they were like sitting there waiting for it to be around. Great. That enthusiasm has gone through, but now we have every teacher in primary school, and all the ICT teachers in secondary school will be teaching this. So it's it's a shift. So we really need to have this sort of support. And a lot of it is about giving teachers confidence that we can do a little bit at a time. As I say, I haven't, I'm not very familiar with how it works in the US. You're obviously very committed to be here. I get the impression your subject knowledge is all very good. In computer science, there are teachers in the UK who will be teaching this, who have quite a low base to start from. So we need to support those teachers. So this is our national curriculum, and it's for every subject. We've gone away from having a very highly prescribed packs and boxes of things that you used to deliver, and now every subject is on 2 or 3 sheets of A4. So history, physics, everything's on 2 or 3 sheets of A4 each, and so we have the freedom to be able to interpret that as we wish to. And these are the aims. And if you look at these aims, you can see that there's quite a strong focus on computational thinking in the overarching aims. Fundamental principles and concepts of computer science, abstract logic, algorithms, solving problems, and then of course, don't forget, we've got to be creative while we're doing all those things. So it's not about technology, it's not about using, it's about understanding, thinking, and being creative. So teachers need to understand about computational thinking in order to be able to deliver this. It's not that they have to learn how to use Scratch or how to use it, they have to understand why we're learning it. So we've moved from this area of policy into supporting and equipping teachers. And we have had some funding from the government to be able to enable us to do that. And that's the network of excellence I'm talking about today. But just before I launch into the network of excellence, in case you haven't seen our curriculum, this is what you learn when you're age 5 to age 7. So, and the A word, the algorithm word, there was a lot of discussion about whether that could go into the Key Stage 1 curriculum. And now people are realising, no, we did that all the time. We always taught kids how to, the sequence of instructions to make a cup of tea or to walk to school and those sorts of things, and how to get things in order. We always did that. There's quite a lot of, there was already floor turtles in all infant schools, big bots and things for sort of sequencing. So although that looks a bit scary, was realising that for Key Stage 1, there are a lot of things there that they were already doing, and the added bit is really thinking about e-safety, and that's really important in primary school. Key Stage 2 is a little bit more daunting for the teachers. That's age 7 to 11, and they do need to do a little bit of programming. They need to know a little bit about repetition in programs, selection in programs, and we are getting that lots of teachers are using Scratch. But it's not just to say about using Scratch, it's about actually understanding why they're doing that, detecting errors, debugging algorithms, and we try and encourage teachers to get students doing things away from the computer and not just being tied onto the technology. And in Key Stage 3, it develops. They do more programming, and this takes them up to age 14. And when they get to 14, they then can choose. From a very informed point of view, because they've done this very gradual, consistent learning of computer science since age of 5, and then they can choose whether they want to do a qualification in computer science or they just want to keep it on as in the core. So, but we're not phasing it in. We're not starting with the 5-year-olds and then in 9 years' time we'll be introduced. We're doing it all at once. So if you're in Key Stage 3 now, and you haven't done that stuff in Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2, you go straight in and you're at this level. And I've just done some research on the teacher's perspectives, and some of the problems that they're having is with the older students who are having to cope with content that is based on things that they would have done earlier on in the curriculum. So a Key Stage 3 teacher is currently teaching Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3 material, so we're on a bit of catch-up. So we cannot expect miracles from teachers. They've got their understanding of the new subject knowledge, they've got the curriculum coming in all at once, and we'll be working with teachers in a supportive way. So, on to the network of excellence. So computing at school has a lot of different activity. I just threw a few things on there. The hubs are our core activity. If all the funding that went away that we have, we would still have computing at school hubs that the small groups of teachers that meet together in regional areas. They turn up after school for free and they discuss things to do with what they've been doing in their classrooms. And that's our kind of core activity. We have the website, which is what you join. That's the one that's got 13,500 members, where we have lots of discussions, resources, and events on there. I'll show you a little bit about that later on, which is run by the people in the back of the room, the Kent contingent. So we're very grateful to them. And we have other projects. The Network of Excellence, Barefoot Computing and Quick Start are all government-funded projects that we've got to support teachers in different ways. Barefoot is for primary teachers. Quick Start is a sort of shrink-wrapped, get-you-going kind of package. But the Network of Excellence is our main programme, and what the Network of Excellence means is partly a network of teachers, universities, master teachers, all together, schools working together to support each other, but also it's a professional development programme based on these three things: peer-to-peer support, face-to-face support, and local support. And that's the kind of the philosophy behind the Network of Excellence. So we have collaboration between universities and schools. One of my roles is to work with the universities in the Network of Excellence, and we have 81 universities that have signed up to support schools in different ways and support master teachers. We've got over 1,050 schools who are sort of part of the Network of Excellence, and some lead schools. But the big part of our programme is this master teacher element that I'm talking about today. So what is a master teacher? It's not a great term. It's not very gender neutral, some of the teachers feel a bit funny about being called a master teacher because it just sounds like they're very superior. The schools quite like it though. They like having a master teacher. But they are teachers that get some funded release from their school by this programme in order to support other teachers in their schools. And they apply to become a master teacher, and they are selected by a process that I'll explain later on, and then they carry out particular roles, and through that they grow to become actually quite sort of desirable in their community as they gain in their skills in supporting other teachers. So, I don't know who here is actually teachers, so you look at those things. If you're offered this programme, would you meet these criteria? So you basically have to be working at a state-maintained school. You have to have good or outstanding in your lessons. So you need to be a good teacher. You need to have some experience of delivering CPD or support to other members of your staff, and the enthusiasm and passion for sharing with your peers. So under this scheme, we are recruiting in 2 years 400 master teachers, secondary and primary, more primary than secondary. We've got fully fledged about 130. We've just recruited another 140 for September, and then another 140 I think for January. We can add up to 400 or 399 or something by March 2015, which is when our project will be renewed. So, and they are dotted all over the place. When we're selecting master teachers, we need to make sure we've got people down here, because it is a programme, you've got to be local. So it's no good if you've got to travel 3 hours to go to a master teacher training session. So a lot of our discussions about should we have you or you would be to do with where we need people. We're a bit short in Lincolnshire, which is there. So we're always looking for master teachers in Lincolnshire, but actually it's not many people there really, lots of fields. These are our sort of selection criteria, so looking at where we need people and so that we get a good balance of master teachers around. And when you go onto the website, if I log onto the website, it tells me on my profile page, where is my nearest master teacher, where is my nearest hub, where is my nearest lead school. I live in Cambridge, my nearest master teacher is 4 miles away. So and the other thing is that this programme, universities, master teachers, hubs work together, and one of the tasks is making sure that different people who are interested in supporting teachers will work together. So it's quite a job of work actually getting everybody knowing what everybody else is doing, so that you don't get a university offering something to teachers and then the master teacher down the road is trying to offer the same thing. So it is really important that people know each other and that they can work cooperatively. So from the teacher's point of view, so as you are a teacher, you can attend training courses. You can get some support from your master teacher. They might come into your school if you ask them to help you with aspects of the curriculum, and they run particular sessions at very low cost after school or in the afternoon, and then you can ask if you can go to their school, that sort of thing. It's very much a community-based service, but it's not compulsory. You haven't got to access your master teacher. It's sort of a service that's there. So It's all based around this model. This model comes from, is a model of professional development that originates from a woman called Aileen Kennedy, who writes about professional development, and it's a loose version of her model of transformative CPD that is not just going to workshops, it's not just training, it's not just one thing, it's a combination of these things. So we're gradually working through these areas of our model, and at our core is this idea of a community of practice. Community of practice is people who have the same, share a goal. Community school is a community of practice, and they offer some training, they do mentor and coaching of people who they support. There's the idea of cascading, modelling good practice. And the other two areas we're still working on. I'm developing a certification scheme for teachers who've been qualified in ICT to obtain certificates for computer science teaching, and we're setting up an action research programme for teachers to be able to sort of share in action research projects that they're carrying out, because we're very much focusing on trying to get them to think about the pedagogy of how they're delivering computer science in the classroom. So that's our overall model. So, take a breath. So now we're looking at what does a master teacher offer. So if you go to the community website, this is a picture of our website, and I took this the other day, and actually we're just about to break up, so there aren't as... Are you already on holiday? Oh, school holiday? Oh, right. Well, we'll break up on about the 22nd of July. So there aren't that many activities coming lined up. But usually when you go onto here, you can see that these activities are being offered. And I've got this set to all events because I've got a national role, but the default is it shows you things within 30 miles. And so it shows you all the events that are local to you. And you can sign up for these. It might cost, the events might cost about £25 or £30 to go for an afternoon's training with a master teacher. So it's just enough for the master teacher to sort of break even, a little bit of money for their school, because our experience of offering free events is that people don't commit to them; they just pull out at the last minute. So it's a matter of just charging enough so that somebody can go. The school sees that the maths teachers are doing wonderful things, bringing in these teachers with a little bit of money, a couple of tea and biscuits, but they are making a commitment to go. So I looked at some of the events that were going on. So here's 3 things that I've picked out from the website that master teachers are doing. So if I lived in Birmingham, one of the master teachers there is doing a whole day on computing for primary school teachers, looking at data representation and algorithm design for a day. So I can't remember how much that was. Here's another one. So if you lived a bit further down the country, this was about algorithms. This was for secondary teachers, learning about searching and sorting algorithms. And then I thought, I could go to Surrey, that's quite near me, and I could learn about HTML and CSS and Raspberry Pi. So what the master teachers do is when they start in their areas, they send around a survey to their local teachers, and they're supposed to look after about 40 teachers each. They send around a survey to find out what the needs are in the area. And even in our country with a national curriculum, there are regional differences between how people work, and rural schools different to urban schools, and actually numbers that the maths teachers work with are different. And that's just a picture of one of my colleagues running a session for in a school at the end of the day for some teachers learning some Python. So what the master teachers also do is they upload their resources from their courses onto our depository where all the resources are shared. So you can go onto the resources on Computing at School and you can find all the master teacher resources and things that they've used in their training. So other master teachers, the newer ones, can go and look at all the course being run rather than sit there and write a course again. They can take something that's been successful, that's been liked a lot by other people, and then they can improve on that. The whole grassroots thing is we don't give packages of things for people to teach. They generate their own material, because actually generating material is a learning experience in itself. And then somebody else can take it and improve on it. So here's some resources. So here's a master teacher that's put on a scheme for teaching program with Python, and another one that's put something about from jQuery, and some another resource about teaching binary cupcakes. And I has nothing to do with master teachers actually, but I just like that example, so I put it into all my presentation. Which is very nice to return them, And here's a master teacher doing a big event. This is a BET, which is a big event in London, because we find that the master teachers, they start doing a few events locally, they become quite good at what they do, and they become quite in demand, and then get asked to do bigger things, which is good for their school, and it's good for them. And this teacher here is called Zoe. She's so fantastic. She's now been recruited to go and write something on another project, so we've lost her as a master teacher, which is a downside, because they get so empowered, they go off and do wonderful things, and then we lose them as master teachers because they actually, it's good for them to be able to gain confidence and support others. And what started off as you being nervously in front of a few people from local schools, you gain confidence and able to be able to share with bigger groups of people. So she is doing a big event in the arena in London, when she's got some volunteers out of the audience to do a sorting album for the Kings of England, showing how she does cross-curricular work in primary schools with history and computer. So it's quite a nice example of where they sort of get to. And this was the video I was going to show you if I had sound, but I don't, but you can go and do your homework. This is another of our master teachers, who's now a regional coordinator, so he sort of manages groups of master teachers. And this has been very popular with teachers in showing them how they can do things unplugged. So he's showing how to make a jam sandwich, getting kids to write out when they're doing a jam sandwich. He's a robot, so he pretends to be very dumb and makes lots of mistakes, does exactly what he's told. They have to refine their algorithms, come back to him. It's things like that master teachers do that actually inspire other teachers to think, yeah, I could do that in my classroom. It's all about, because the other side of the empowerment is the teachers, it's all about giving teachers confidence. And they look at another teacher who's able to help them, and they think, well, yes, they got to where, they can tell their story, they got to where they were through trying things out, and I can get there too. So the benefits of the Master Teacher Programme for the teachers is this being able to have the support of somebody who is your peer, who can talk to you about what they gave out for homework and what they do about different types of activities, how they do assessment, and in a very sort of knowledgeable way, what works, what doesn't work, how long this might take, and all those things that if you just working from, I've nothing against MOOCs or anything like that, but if you're working from something that's more less tailored to your needs, sort of thing, then you don't get that level of insight. So it's very good for teachers to have that peer-to-peer. It's also local, and although teachers are prepared to travel, teachers are very, very short-termed about your teachers. Our teachers are very stressed, they're very tired, they're very time poor, and so they have to maximise every opportunity they can have, and they don't need to be driving an hour to get to something. The other thing about master teacher events is that they are also attended by other people in the area so the networking that you get through just getting people together in an area is very good. And I understand that obviously we live in a much smaller country than you do, So that's why I worried about coming here and talking to you about local, because obviously, it's very different for us. So interesting to hear which bits of this you think might ever transfer. So, and I do think that the master teacher can be a role model. And when I asked about, in one of my surveys, about what your relationship with the master teacher was, people put, I actually want to be one, because they can see that somebody's able to support them, and they want to be that person too, so that you can see that they actually represent what I call realistic achievement, that you could actually get to do that. So for master teachers, once they get on to the programme, when we do some training with them, we run them through a practice sort of CPD session where they pretend to do CPD each other, and they're a bit sort of nervous about it, and what should I deliver, and try and do too much in the time available and that sort of thing, because it's it's new. But actually they gain those skills in delivering to their peers and gaining confidence. The schools like it because they like the fact that the head teachers have to give their permission for to have a master teacher, and then they like the fact they have the expertise in their school, and then they become known, and then they have other opportunities. So as I say, that's for us the unexpected downside of this programme, is that we are losing some because they get so good and they get pulled off to sort of author on, to work as consultants or go off and freelance or something. So, which is actually a shame, because you want them in the classroom because they're so good as well. So career opportunities, and it's good if you've got master teacher on your CV and that sort of thing. So it's good for them and good for their confidence, and they inspire confidence in others. So that's a little bit about what the master teachers have been doing. We have 2 levels of master teachers in this programme. This is a programme that's funded by the government, and to get the maximum number of master teachers as we could in that amount of time. And some of them are known as level 1 master teachers, and they're like in training, and some of them are known as level 2 master teachers, and they're like fully fledged active master teachers. And if you want to be a master teacher and you tick all those criteria, you go straight in as a level 2 active master teacher, and I'll show you what you get for that. If you are an outstanding teacher and you can empower others, and you've got experience in CPD but your subject knowledge isn't there, you can go in as a level 1 master teacher, and we have we fund several universities to run a 6-month part-time programme for the level 1 teachers to bring their subject knowledge up to scratch, and it's been really, really successful. They get a lot out of these intensive days, and the Network of Excellence programme pays for those level 1 teachers to be released from school, 10 days for secondary and 5 days for primary. It pays for their travel, whatever they need to get to the training, and it pays the university to provide free training for them and 12 hours of one-to-one. So it provides them with quite an intensive programme over a 6-month period, and when they finish that, they graduate to be a level 2 teacher. I should have had that slide. That slide actually just says what I just said. So the level 1 teachers come in here, and then we also have people called regional coordinators who look after groups of master teachers who will give them support on developing their CPD and find out what they've been doing. And obviously it's a government-funded project, so we have to always be reporting back on how many, this, that and the other, and what's been what activity we've had. So the universities have a lot of different roles in the Network of Excellence. This is a very specific role that they have here on this programme. Other universities do different things, but we have, I've just taken on another 14 universities to run the level 1 programme this year, so that we've got universities in the far corners of England to be able to cover. So how does it all work? So teachers get funding for release from school. They get the amount it would cost to get a substitute teacher put into that school and some money for travel and accommodation if it's a long way away. Second teachers get more because they have more training for the level 1. Universities get £10,000 to run the training, and then they get 12 hours one-to-one per person to run that as well. So most of the funding, we had £2 million from the government for this 2-year project, and most of the funding is going on releasing teachers from school. That's where it's being used for. If you're a level 2 master teacher, you get your training on how to deliver effective CPD, but you don't get any subject knowledge training. But you have half a day or a week off timetable to plan and deliver the CPD. You're not supposed to need to be running CPD sessions every week. You're using that time to build your community of practice around you, to support other teachers, to plan your sessions, advertise your sessions. And the head teacher obviously has to agree to have that time. And they might offer other smaller events, bigger events, and we're having an increasing number of regional conferences, and a lot of those all the sessions are provided by master teachers, and that can count as the number of sessions that they need to do. They have to do at least 3 CPD events during the year. Well, the idea is that they build enough work up that they then become self-sustaining. So it needs to be it's got to be a program. It's not funded in the end. They become self-sustaining. They charge enough that they can keep it going, and then they don't need to have the funding anymore. And here's us training our our new level 2 master teachers. So it's also very much about them getting to know each other, getting the support that they are in themselves, a little community of practice, getting support. And here's them doing their practice CPD session when they're trying they're something about networking with bits of string. We're very, very keen on unplugged activities and doing things off the computer. So on these days, it's quite interesting what we get asked for in terms of props. There's so much you can do with a paper cup and bits of string and all these sort of things. So they're very resourceful, and the ideas, once they get talking to each other, they have lots of good ideas for ways of sharing things. And this is a real confidence building thing. Okay, so I said I'd leave some time for questions. My last couple of slides is just about the fact we've just done some evaluation. We've got a sort of a full evaluation program to see whether it's effective. We give out feedback forms at the end of every session, and then 10 weeks later we send out a form on the impact that training has had 10 weeks later. You obviously get a lot less forms filled in at the 10 weeks later one, but you expect a drop off. Then that's been followed up by a small number again that will have telephone interviews. And we also have a big, wide and overreaching survey that we ran in February. We'll run again next February that sort of picks up the kind of the bigger impact that the programme is having, that we've been at all CAS members. So we've been looking at this. So this is just a graph from one of some initial feedback. So this is 600 odd teachers, and it's quite positive on the way that they respond to the master teacher. There's some really nice quotes about how that they found the master teacher program, and then we asked them, what will you do next, as a result of this training, for the teachers, and they talk about, I'm going to go and disseminate this with my colleagues, I'm going to go and use this to plan some work, or I desperately want to have some more training, I'd like more of this, please, or whatever. So but it does actually focus them on teachers on thinking about where this goes, because CPD is not about sessions where you just turn up and then go away again. It's about the relationships and the follow-up and the being sustained. And we teach, when we train the master teachers, we train them about running collaborative and sustained CPD. That comes out of some research on CPD. That it's working together. It's about keeping the momentum going. So yeah, they quite like the maths teachers, and the feedback's very good. And then but this is quite interesting because we're starting to look at the impacts, and I only had 50 impact forms from the whole load of initial feedback forms, but hopefully that will improve. And you can see that this adds up to about 84%, 10 weeks later, so this has had a significant or moderate impact on my knowledge and skills. If you're interested in professional development, this comes from Thomas Guskey, who talks about 5 levels of evaluating professional development. So this is level 2, 3, 4 and 5, and level 1 is our initial form. So that you get the depth, you get knowledge and skills is level 2, and then you're looking at the impact on your practice, and then you look at the impact on your school, and finally look at the impact on your learners. And I think this is a fairly sort of standard thing for CPD, that when we get to down here, 10 weeks later, it's not as high, the impact on learners, as we'd like it to be, because, well, one of the reasons is the curriculum hasn't started yet, so that will have an impact on the fact that the learners aren't doing it yet. But this kind of gradual drift down is quite normal for CPD, so it's a challenge for us is to make sure we keep our eye on the ball, because at the end of the day, it's impact on practice, impact on schools, and impact on learners that we're interested in this project. That's all from me. So hopefully I've covered you've got a flavour of what maths teachers do. You'll go away and do your video for homework, and understand about the philosophy behind our model. And this idea of both called peer-to-peer, face-to-face support, I think would transfer to other subjects as well as computer science. I think it's a supportive and holistic model that we're quite proud of. So I hope that was interesting. Any questions?
In the primary schools, are you trying to integrate the computer with the other subjects in the curriculum, or are you teaching that as something separate?
As I say, we have this very slimmed down curriculum so that people can do what they would like to do. We kind of preach the mantra that cross-curricular is good, that encourage it. Yes, so we encourage people to be looking at where they can fit computer computational thinking into other areas, hence the Kings of England sorting with the sorting in history, and things you can do in geography and other subjects, and obviously strong maths relationship, and once you get onto text-based programming, you've got a very strong literacy sort of connection there. So, and also primary school teachers are teaching 13 subjects, and in September they don't just have a new curriculum for computing, they have a new curriculum for the other 12 subjects as well, and so it's the more that they can teach in a cross-curricular way, that's good. But some schools will have an ICT coordinator as well, who now becomes a computing coordinator, who will take responsibility for that training in primary schools, who will deliver some of that themselves. The schools will vary, is my answer. Do you know what I mean? So we it's not dictated to them, but cross-curricular is encouraged.
So it's really up to each teacher?
Yeah. Or each school. Yeah. And schools often work in clusters now, so they kind of work in local areas. So you'll find that the sort of 8 schools working together in an area have got the same kind of idea. Yeah.
Building a network seems to be really hard. It's hard to make something scalable, and it was just amazing how you went from just a few people. 5, like, what was it, 13,000?
Yeah.
And so, can you maybe talk about the development, or maybe some of the key highlights of how that network grew? Just maybe some of the overarching.
Yeah, I can show you the graph. Is it still there, Neil? Right, this is the Computing at School website, which obviously I was just... And we have membership graphs on there. It's not, is it? Because I've got duplicate on.
Yeah, I've got. Okay, so the graph, membership graph, goes along like this, and then January 2012, it sort of went like that, and that was when our Secretary of State for Education stood up and said we're going to have computing in the curriculum. So we had a steady, so in terms, we had kind of a bit of a help in that respect. Because when I joined CAS in 2009, I think I knew everybody else. It was a small community, and it was growing steadily, but the big change was when it became, people realised that we were going to teach it in school.
And then how did you manage that curriculum once master teachers started just, uploading lots of curriculum? How did you guys manage that? You know what I mean? Like, how did you make those resources easy to navigate? When master teachers were posting curriculum.
So I'd like to ask Neil. So Neil here runs the website for that I failed to show you. And so we have so as we get bigger, you're right, they need to be more sorted so you can look for Key Stage 1 resources on Scratch or Key Stage 3 resources on Python and that sort of thing. Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, it's an ongoing challenge. We're experimenting with several different methods of trying to organise. We had sort of tags, and I've got categories. So, we've been experimenting with the ways to make it relevant to teachers, so that the teacher comes in, they arrive at the site for the first time, and usually, they need to teach it in 2 weeks, and they're in real panic. And so we just try and find a mechanism for, what would make sense to them, where they can just click and say, look, I've really got to cover, X. And so we try to organise it around the curriculum, so that you can actually look at the curriculum and say, I've really got to do Key Stage 1, algorithms in 2 weeks. And so, that's one of our categories, so that you can then just say, okay, let me look at that, and you can then filter also, and in Scratch, maybe they've heard of Scratch or they've seen it before. So we try to sort of orient it around what's a panic teacher going to sort of need to get started. That's our kind of current thinking. But we're still playing a little bit and going back and forwards.
It is very much that these changes have happened so quickly, but we are dealing with scaling up. Do you know what I mean? As it happens. So University of Cambridge have a website for nothing. I mean, it's all sort of voluntary activity. But I used to do teacher training, and my trainee teachers would just put trying to download the whole lot. I'll just take all the resources, 2,000 resources, and then they hadn't got any idea what to do with them. They're trainee teachers. Do you know what I mean? So it's what you get from the master teachers that they say, when you look at this resource, this is really useful. Rather than browsing through lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff.
So it sounds like there's two parts of the website. There's found a way to search, a way to navigate the curriculum, and a way for other teachers to sign up for master teacher trainings.
Yeah, so we have a community website and we have a public website. So public website, people who don't belong to CAS can see what we do. And this is our community website, and the basic areas are discussions, resources and events. So, there are discussions on every topic imaginable, and there's a section that says no question too stupid, where you can put things that you feel a bit embarrassed of putting on the other areas. And then the resources section.
So only members can sign up for trainings then? Like only members can sign up for a master teacher training?
No, anybody can sign up for master teacher training. So the master teachers will have their own networks, people they know maybe through locally are their local teachers. And when they come along to their first session, they might say, well, do you all belong to CAS? Why you join CAS? Because then you can find out more events, and you can see these resources, and you can join the discussions, and you can ask about this, assessment tasks that we've all got to do. Like, you're discussing here about different tasks to do with the AP, those things are all going on, the discussions are all going on our website.
Just to mention, it's free to join CAS, and there's no restrictions being in the UK. So if any of you want to join and look at these resources, then you're perfectly free to sign up. The address is in the address bar up there. So
yes.
You can have some US members just because they want the resources. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's no point in hiding them.
Yeah. So that it's community.computingatschool.org.uk.
Do you record any of the master teacher sessions so that, say somebody, I assume you have some remote regions that,
Yeah.
so that teachers in remote regions can view them?
We haven't done that. What we could do. Two of the universities have developed MOOCs, in our area. One at Key Stage 4 area, and another one at Key Stage 2 and 3. So we do have that sort of support for the online material as well. I would worry, I suppose, that it might be quite intimidating, because the idea of the master teacher training is it is quite low key,
Right.
So yeah, we don't. But I think some master teachers in the north do sort of Skype sessions and that sort of thing. So I think that might be a better way of reaching remote areas, to do sessions over sort of hangouts, when you do know who you're talking to, rather than being filmed, which I think might be really.
Well, I know, I was in, I don't know if you do these in the UK, but we have ed camps here in the US, and we did an ed camp, what they call home. So people were actually attending at home, and they were doing Google Hangouts, but recording the Google Hangouts. So it was actually, it had a feel of being very informal, but yet it was being recorded.
Yeah. We did that in the early days. We had some sort of sessions like that teachers would join in, and then they record it even later. It seems to fade a little bit. Yeah.
So you've had some good feedback from the teachers that are in this program.
Yeah.
What are their backgrounds? Like, what did they do before they became computer science teachers? Were they like math teachers or science teachers? Is there specific academic background that they share?
They don't share an academic background, but most of them have come from teaching ICT, which was in our curriculum as a compulsory subject from 1988. So, and in secondary, there are some people with computer science degrees who've taught ICT but have forgotten their computer science backgrounds because they haven't needed it. It was quite application focused. But there's also been a lot of teachers coming in to teach ICT without any background in ICT at all, and those are the teachers that are now becoming computing teachers. So it's quite an uphill struggle for them. In primary, a lot of the teachers have got education degrees, that we do here, but and don't necessarily specialise in a particular subject. Some do, but there's quite a lot of them who just go through an education stream, so they're sort of masters of everything, and they're learning the computing. But the primaries, although it looks quite a lot on there, the primary teachers will get there. I think they're the resources are coming out, the support is there, and once the realisation that an algorithm wasn't so scary. But I think being able to teach examination qualifications in secondary without a computer science background, that's really where we need to sort of really focus on good subject knowledge training. Any other questions? Oh, I nearly forgot. I've got some magazines. I haven't got enough. I don't actually. I've got as many as I could fit into my bag. So I've got a few. You can download this magazine from the website. I've got a few hard copies here, and it's again a voluntary teacher produces this every term for us. Has done for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's quite good. And inside it's got our progression framework, primary all the way through. So do help yourself with those. Have I run out of time?
Any other questions? Sue? All right. Well, thanks, Sue, for your.